Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Marina and I am a certified lash tech based in Toronto, Canada, and I like to make lash extension videos to help all you guys out, whether you're a beginner or just a lash tech trying to find new techniques. Everybody has different ways of lashing, so this is just the way I like to do it, and hopefully you guys can take something away. But today we are going to be doing more of a beginner focused video. I'm going to be particularly focusing on application and isolation and what kind of helped me in terms of finding ways to make it easier to achieve a great isolation and a great application. So I've made videos like this before, however, I'm always kind of updating and changing my techniques, so I decided to make another video. I do have some isolation tips for inner corner as well and outer corner, as I know that it is quite difficult. As you can see here, I have an X made out of tape on the upper eyelid. Basically what this does is just lift the eyelid up a little bit so the lashes are not facing downwards or flat onto that under eye pad. And what will happen when it is touching the under eye pad is that the application is quite difficult, because then your eyelash extension with the glue can get stuck on that under eye pad, and it is very frustrating because if it's really glued on there, you're gonna have to pull it off and it can affect the retention in the long run. So basically what I do is I put it on a diagonal so that when you are applying that eyelid tape onto the inner and outer corner, you're kind of pulling the eyelid like a little bit away from the inner corner or outer corner, and it kind of pulls up and diagonal, so it's kind of moving those lashes to the side, really allowing you to get in there. But another thing that I also do for an inner corner, as you can see here with my pinky, I am pushing down on the under eye pad. This allows me to get a really good application and show that one natural lash I'm looking for without it touching the under eye pad. And this makes application a lot easier as well, especially for my fans or my spikes, because the base of your fans and spikes should open up a little bit to get that wraparound method. I really need to make sure that I can get to as close as to the lash line as possible. Obviously, you want to at least have like a millimeter from the lash line, but by pushing down on that under eye pad, I can kind of gauge a little bit better. When the under eye pad is pushing up against the natural lash, it's hard to see where that lash line is, so you want to kind of give yourself space. Right here, you can see that I applied from below, and applying from below I only do this because of my hand positioning and directional placement. If I have like an awkward hand, placement, it's really difficult to get the lash going to where I want it to. So I always try to find the easiest way possible. You could even apply the extension to the side of the natural lash, but whatever is easiest for you, it doesn't always have to be applied directly on top, side, bottom, or top. But if you can, top is probably best because you can get a good wraparound, but that's not to say that bottom doesn't work as well. I do apply from the side here and there. That's usually my last go-to. It still works, still gives good retention, but I think that the top or the bottom is optimal retention, just because you can get a nice application where the natural lash sits mostly on that extension, giving it the ultimate retention in the long run. And so another thing that I like to do is use my other tweezer. As you can see here, I'm using the other tweezer to push those neighboring lash extensions off to the side. So this is a refill, so you can see that there's a lot of extensions that are already there, and it kind of makes it difficult sometimes when the extensions are really long, because then they start to like bend in towards where I'm trying to isolate, and you don't want to get glue on those, because if you get glue on the other extensions, then the tips of the extensions are now glued together and it gets a sticky mess. So I use my finger and my other tweezer to really push them away, as you saw as I did before, and therefore when I apply, I can have a really great isolation. And right there, you just saw that I removed one of those extensions. That's because I saw that it wasn't applied the way I wanted it to. So don't be afraid to remove those extensions and reapply a different one if you are not satisfied with how the extension was applied. Remember guys, retention is gonna be the key to getting your customers coming back. I have had compliments recently of how long my extensions have been hanging on for my clients, and it honestly makes me so happy. So that's kind of what I focus on. If you didn't get that satisfying application that you were looking for or that you need, please feel free to remove them and then reapply. Remember, quality over quantity. It might take a long time for you to finish your set, but at the end of the day, you want to provide good work with safe application that's not going to ruin their natural lash. So here you can see a close-up of me just applying. And as you can see here, I'm using my finger and I just kind of push those extensions away. They were really getting in there, kind of annoying me, so I just really push away. Here you can see that magnetic attraction. That is with correct humidity and correct temperature. I made a whole video on humidity and temperature, so please go take a look if you want an in-depth video on that. I'll probably make another updated video, but this is very key to application because it gets that magnetic attraction that you want. If your extension is falling to the side and not sticking on right away, it is way too dry. Or if you brush through and all of your lash extensions are popping off, then it means it is too moist. I know that word is kind of gross, but that's just the truth. It is way too moist in your room and you need to lower the temperature. You need to get the sweet spot and make sure you read the instructions on your adhesive. Now, as you can see here, I'm using that pinky method, really pushing those extensions to the side, and then we are going to go and apply. And that is a fan, so you can see I'm really pushing down, really getting that wraparound, and then making sure that it's not stuck to the under eye tape. Now, normally it wouldn't, especially with the eyelid tape on the top of the lids. Usually really refrains from it getting stuck on that bottom lash tape. But, I mean, sometimes it happens, so just be wary of that. Now, every so often, like I'm doing here, I'm sifting through my lashes to make sure that there's nothing sticking. If there is, guys, make sure to pull them apart. You don't want to leave that there. Great application. That was a classic lash because it is a hybrid set, so you can see that it sticks on amazing. And you can see that I am going using my other tweezer to help really isolate. Another tip is try to get the tips of your tweezer as close to that lash line as possible. It'll really allow for those neighboring lashes to separate and really focus on that one lash that you were looking for. Don't be afraid to really use your tools and your fingers to isolate. You do not want to get 2 eyelashes stuck on one lash extension because you're going to ruin her eyelashes, and ultimately she'll be probably really upset when she notices that all of her lashes are getting ripped out and she has major gaps. So what I also do is, like you could see before, I isolated the eyelash and then I let go, found my eyelash fan, made the eyelash fan, and then went back to that isolated lash. I kind of do this just to navigate which one I'm targeting first. Obviously, it's not going to keep the isolation there once you let go with your isolation tweezers, but it just allows me to kind of navigate which one I'm going to target next in terms of the natural lash. It helps me because it also does separate the neighboring lashes a little bit. It's not isolating fully, but it is moving to the side. And then so when I make my fan and then come back, I can see, okay, that's the one that I was targeting, and let's go and apply that one. I'm just very critical on like which ones I want to isolate because I'm trying to create symmetry between the two eyes. So I'm very like careful of which one I want because I have to make sure that the lengths are matching on the other eye. Here I went underneath because my hand positioning was just more comfortable, and it allowed me to get a better directional placement, because when you are especially if you're doing a strip lash look, but this one isn't strip lash, it's just a normal hybrid look, you want to make sure that your directional placement is on point, because if you do so, then it'll just allow you to have a cleaner set. It doesn't look as textured and messy. Now, there isn't an end result to seeing how the set turned out, because it honestly just looks like a normal cat eye hybrid set. It's a little bit on the texture side because I added some spikes, but it's nothing special, nothing like crazy. So this video is more focused on the isolation and the zoom up of how you see I do my isolations, because I know that it can be such a tricky skill to kind of obtain. If you need, you should really try to focus on isolation on your mannequin first before you go in and start lashing on other people, because the isolation is key to kind of obtaining that healthy natural eyelash and that healthy natural lash growth. You don't want it pulling out any premature lashes. And as you can see there, I just did that pre-isolation just to see the one I want. This is the one I wanted, and there you go. You can just see how it like connects and kind of snaps together. It is my favorite feeling in the world. That's how you know everything is on point in terms of temperature and humidity. So just to reiterate, I always use my finger or other tweezer to help isolate. Use the tips of my isolation tweezers closest to the lash line. I use tape on the upper eyelid to allow myself to lash easier. And in terms of my hand positioning, I either apply on top, on the bottom, or to the side. And the temperature and humidity is super important, but I have a whole other video on that as well. And also, if your glue is drying a little slower, make sure to hold that isolation for at least 3 seconds so that you're not getting the stickies. But always sift through your lashes and make sure that there's no stickies, because that will ruin the natural lash. I hope this video was helpful in any type of way. If it was, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you want me to make a video on any certain topic, and I will try to do more in-depth and close-up videos so that you guys can see a little bit better on how I do my lash extensions. So I'll see you guys next Sunday. I post every Sunday around 6:15. Thank you guys so much. Bye.